Ayrton Senna leads the man you're looking at, world champion Alain Prost, by some 7 seconds. Keke Rosberg is about 12 seconds behind Alain Prost. Alboreto is in 4th position. Nigel Mansell is in 5th place. In 6th position, it's Arnoux still.
And Prost now has got a clear track. He's got his fresh tyres reasonably warmed up, and if he's going to make a charge, now is the moment that it's going to start. He's got a clear run towards Senna, who's coming to picture now. There's Prost going round the first gear, new chicane, coming down the straight towards the back, round the left-handed to back. And he's got sight of Senna on the longer straight, and it does help to be able to see the car in front. It's an extra little mental stimulus.
And he's catching number 1, the world champion Alain Prost, who won last year and the year before, took 2 seconds out of Ayrton Senna's lead on that lap. He's now some 5 seconds behind the race leader, and Ayrton Senna is closing up on Martin Brundle, who is 10th. Senna is closing up to lap the 10th position man, Martin Brundle. Prost is catching him, and Alboreto in the Ferrari there is coming very, very slowly indeed out of the swimming pool area. He's in 4th position. Just looking at his tyres as he goes past me, for sure he's going to come into the pit, and for sure Nigel Mansell will go up a place as Alboreto in the Ferrari tours into the pits for his tyre change. Now Mansell is about to take Alboreto's 4th position, because Mansell is just completing the lap as you look at Senna and Prost, with the gap coming down all the time.
Yes, and Prost has really destroyed that gap. It's taken him 2 laps to get that close from something like 7 seconds behind. So Prost, as we expected on the new tyres, is absolutely flying. I'm sure Senna is struggling a bit, and I think that, if anything, that should firm up any doubt Senna has got that he should change tyres. He would definitely be better off. Let's see if he's worked that out for himself.
Well, if he's worked it out, he hasn't acted on it on this lap.
Yes, that's right. And once he can see what's happening, the sooner he goes in, the better, because he's just hurting his overall race time now if he stays out on tyres that are already knackered.
And it's interesting that Martin Brundle in 10th position, who has not yet been lapped, is keeping ahead of Senna, who's now, of course, as you can well see for yourselves, got Prost right behind him. 1st and 2nd, Martin Brundle exiting the picture. Now Prost could attack as they approach and then exit the tunnel as they come down to the chicane. Prost on the new heated, now thoroughly heated rubber. Looks as though he's going to try and go through on braking for the chicane. It is possible to get through there. Very difficult, but possible. But Senna staves him off.
I think he's going to have to do a Rosberg and attack him out past the pits and into Saint-Devant.
This is coming up to complete lap 41 in this 78-lap race. Leading in the yellow helmet, Senna. Right behind him, 2nd, world champion Prost. 3rd is Rosberg. Down to the Rascasse, down to 1st gear, 30 miles an hour. Up to the old gasworks corner. Now accelerate away, and this is Prost's chance. He can, if he gets close enough, take Senna on the approach to Saint-Devant. He's going to try and go around on the outside. But Senna moves across, takes his racing line and keeps ahead.
Yes, Prost being very careful, very sensibly careful, because he's well in charge of the situation. He knows that Senna can't hold him off forever, but he's not going to take any risks. Senna's a hard man. We've seen him make life very difficult for overtaking drivers. There he is, taking the inside line, fending Prost off, giving him no chance of attacking him on the winning line into the corner. So Senna stated his intentions. He's going to play a blocking game, but he can't block him forever.
And hats off to Martin Brundle in the Tyrrell Renault, because he is keeping ahead of both of them. As I've said many times before, these two will actually be slowing each other up compared with how fast they could go were they by themselves. Because Senna is having to watch Prost and see that he doesn't get past. Prost is trying to find a way through. He's darting about the tarmac. And you can see that Senna is visibly having a bit of tyre trouble as his car moves about on the course. And Prost is harrying him all the time.
Yes, Prost should be able to get more traction out of the Rascasse as they go onto the pit straight. Senna's coming in. So Senna has clocked it. He realises that he can't maintain the situation forever. And this puts Prost really in command of the race. Prost is now in what will be a very comfortable lead.
Now, what about Keke Rosberg? Good stop. Excellent stop by Bob Dance and his team. Bob Dance, the chief Lotus mechanic who had his birthday yesterday. So, now Prost has got the cushion that he needs. He is on his 43rd lap out of 78. He could be on his way to a hat-trick, 3 in succession wins at Monaco. Alain Prost back in the lead, then Ayrton Senna into the pit. We wait now to see with Keke Rosberg in the position. So anyway, there is the race leader, Alain Prost. Down to the Rascasse again. Alboreto, by the way, went out with engine trouble. Keke Rosberg now in second position. And third will be Nigel Mansell. It's Mansell and Senna absolutely together. Senna third, Mansell fourth. So with the two McLarens in the lead, Prost and Rosberg, here is the battle for third position with Senna and Mansell. And Senna pulling away there. Mansell seeming to go slower as he went up to Saint-Devote because he was much closer to the Lotus. And in fifth position behind Nigel Mansell is the Ligier of René Arnoux. Sixth is Gerhard Berger. Seventh now is Nelson Piquet coming up through the field with the tyre changes in front of him. Then Jacques Lafitte is in 8th position. Martin Brundle is 9th. And Stefan Johansson in the second Ferrari, who has been lapped, is in 10th place. Senna 3rd, Mansell 4th. The two McLarens ahead. We are well over half distance now. We're on lap 44. And Gerhard Berger, who was in 6th position, has come into the pit to change his Pirelli tyres. Senna out of the new chicane. Well, he's definitely easing away from Nigel Mansell, who of course changed his tyres some time ago. The car's getting lighter by the lap. 43 tours then. First number 1, Prost. Second number 2, Rosberg. Third number 12, Senna that you're looking at. Fourth number 5, Mansell. In 5th position, number 25, René Arnoux. In 6th position is Nelson Piquet, number 6. And over the line to complete another lap goes the Lotus of Ayrton Senna. And I am beginning to wonder what has happened to Nigel Mansell. He is definitely dropping back in 4th position. René Arnoux was 12 seconds behind him in 5th place and he's catching Mansell.
Yes, Mansell, I think, must have some mechanical trouble with his car, or maybe because he pitted rather early, and that may have been to look at some mechanical trouble. He got a new set of tyres, but he's never really gone very well on them. So I suspect that Mansell's got some sort of minor problem with the car, because it does seem to be slowing him down compared with his form at the beginning of the race.
Well, as we look at the McLaren, you'll probably see Arnoux charging. There's Arnoux behind. And there is Keke Rosberg, who is in second place. So actually, Rosberg is much closer to Alain Prost than he was. There's no team orders between Alain Prost and Keke Rosberg. Rosberg there won in 1983. Prost, his teammate, won in 84 and 85. So the winners of the last 3 Monaco Grand Prix are starting to fight for the lead. 11 seconds was the gap between the leader, Alain Prost, and Keke Rosberg in the second McLaren. And you can see for yourselves how Rosberg is going as he comes down past the tip top, round the Mirabeau corner, up to Lowe's. I'll give you the gap when they come through at the end of this lap. Prost leads, Rosberg second, Senna third, Mansell fourth and dropping back, Arnoux fifth, Piquet sixth, Lafitte seventh. So both the Ligiers are going well. Martin Brundle has now been lapped and is in 8th position. 11 seconds was the gap between the 2 McLarens. Here's Prost exiting the swimming pool area. Prost is through to complete another lap very shortly. You saw the difference there, just under 11 seconds, and it's still 11.1 seconds. So Prost is maintaining his lead over number 2 there, the 1983 winner and ex-world champion Keke Rosberg. And once again we have the prospect of another McLaren first and second to add to the many that they've achieved in the recent past. The most successful racing team over 1984, 1985, won the Constructors' Championship in both years. You're looking now as through on the inside of Sura goes Keke Rosberg. Mark Sura in the arrows in 12th position, who has been lapped twice, lets Keke Rosberg through, and the race order of this lap 47 is still Prost leading, Rosberg second, Senna third, Mansell 6 seconds behind Senna in 4th position. 5th is Arnoux. As you can see, Prost is not only leading but the fastest man on the circuit, so he's got things very much under control. Nelson Piquet is in the points now in 6th position. 7th is Lafitte. 8th is Brundle, who has been lapped. Jonathan Palmer is in 13th place. And the gap between Prost and Rosberg is just increasing slightly. Gerhard Berger has had a problem with a wheel nut in the pits here, but Rosberg is now 11.6 seconds behind Alain Prost on lap 48 out of 78. And Alain Prost speeding up now. I suspect that with a lap just 0.2 of a second faster than the previous fastest, Alain Prost is in a beautifully comfortable rhythm, getting his pit signals. He's driven his own race all the way, stopped at just the right time to put new tyres on, and is really on his way.
Yeah, he's steadied that gap with Rosberg now. In fact, if anything, is increasing it slightly, and he will have been quite cautious because he doesn't want to overdo it in order not to cook his rear tyres, overheat them too much. But now that he's seen that he can contain Rosberg from the lead and even pull away a little bit, he must be feeling very happy with the situation.
We've said many times in the past that a team member wants most of all to beat the other man in his team to underline his superiority, and Alain Prost is certainly doing that at the moment. 11.5 seconds, so the gap is very, very consistent. But just over 11 seconds between first and second as Keke Rosberg comes up now to catch and lap Martin Brundle in the Tyrrell Renault, who is in 8th position. Martin, who had misfortune in Spain and at Imola is in the race in the new 015 Tyrrell. There's the difference, 11.4 seconds between Prost the leader and Rosberg second, and Martin Brundle underlining his excellent form, 10th equal in the World Championship with 2 points which he got for that 5th place in Brazil, and pedalling Maurice Philippe's Renault-powered Tyrrell extremely well, Maurice Philippe being the designer. So the tyre changes of the leaders completed. It is unlikely that anybody's going to come in now, because the McLaren team will have studied the tyre situation of their two runners and fitted the appropriate ones. They came in at about the right point in the race to do so. And now Keke Rosberg has still not got past Martin Brundle and has got one of the Brabhams in front of him. There he is, as a result of which the gap is increasing. It's over 12 seconds now between Alain Prost and Keke Rosberg. Now here is Brundle, up to Saint-Devant. Rosberg goes through. Brundle just edged over, let the fin through Keke Rosberg, who streaks away from the Tyrrell. And Keke Rosberg out for victory, of course, on lap 50, has got 28 laps to try and do something about his teammate Alain Prost, who is now over 12 seconds ahead of him, with Senna in third position. Senna now well behind, some 19 seconds behind Keke Rosberg, who is second, and 7 seconds ahead of Nigel Mansell, who is in fourth position. René Arnoux in the Ligier is in fifth place. Nelson Piquet is still in the World Championship points in sixth position, so both the McLarens and both the Williams are in the World Championship points. Jacques Lafitte is in seventh place, so the two Ligiers are doing well. Arnoux fifth and Lafitte is seventh. Martin Brundle lapped in eighth place. Jonathan Palmer, 13th, has been lapped twice, but is still going. Well, that was Keke Rosberg into La Rascasse and out of it.
Although we haven't had a look at him for a while, Nelson Piquet has now finally got clear of the bunch that he was in for the first third of the race. He's running in sixth place and is catching René Arnoux in fifth.
As Rosberg goes up the hill towards the Massenet, and Prost keeping up the pressure. Faster and faster he is going. 1:26.9, just 0.3 of a second faster than his previous fastest lap, but he's quicker. As if to say to Keke Rosberg, if you've got any ideas of catching me, let alone passing me, think again, because I'm going to pull away. That's Piquet. With right behind Piquet, Jacques Lafitte. This is the battle for sixth position. Ahead of them is Streff, who is he's 3 laps behind, although he's ahead on the course just now. And Jacques Lafitte, the oldest man in the race, in the blue Ligier. He's 42 years old. And he's going, finally he's passed Nelson Piquet. So now, both the Ligiers are in the World Championship points, with René Arnoux fifth, his teammate Jacques Lafitte behind him in sixth position. Tremendously encouraging for Guy Larousse, the team manager, for Michel Tétu, the designer, and for Bernard Dudot, the man who designed the Renault engines which are powering the Ligiers, and the Tyrrells, of course, and the Lotus. And Piquet has obviously got a problem. I don't know what it is. It might be anything. It might be gearbox, it might be clutch, it might be tyres. But for whatever reason, Piquet is slowing and having to let people through. He's lost the possibility of a World Championship point. And of course, Piquet, at the beginning of this race, and for that matter still, is leading the World Championship, tying with Ayrton Senna. So that's bad news for Brazilian Piquet and good news for Brazilian Ayrton Senna. Number 4 is Philippe Streff, who's about to be lapped again by the doughty warrior Jacques Lafitte, who likes nothing more than to get away from racing cars and have a game of golf, which is exactly what he did after practice yesterday. and Piquet dropping back all the time. So it is now lap 52. Alain Prost leads by 13.5 seconds, increasing his lead over his teammate Keke Rosberg, both in McLaren. Third is Ayrton Senna in the Lotus, 7 seconds ahead of Nigel Mansell in the Williams. Fifth is René Arnoux. You're looking at Keke Rosberg. Sixth is Jacques Lafitte. Seventh now is Nelson Piquet, who has been lapped, as has Martin Brundle, 8th, Patrick Tambay, who is 9th, Johansson is 10th and has been lapped twice, Boutsen is 11th, Sura is 12th, Jonathan Palmer is 13th, and Philippe Streff is 14th.
But it must be a little disheartening for Keke Rosberg. He's giving it everything he's got, and Prost is still pulling away. Prost lapping quicker and quicker now. And really, as I say, it must be worrisome, to say the least, for Rosberg, because he's certainly giving it everything he's got, and there seems to be nothing he can do about Prost.
And there's one of the Brabhams touring in, well, stopping. And although we haven't seen much of, it's Riccardo Patrese, I think. Yes, it's Patrese who stopped. Had come back into the race, but is now obviously completely out of it. We haven't seen much of the new Haas Lola with its Ford V6 engine. There is Prost completing another lap, coming through to complete his 53rd lap, and it is Riccardo Patrese out with probably a burning turbo from the way the fire extinguisher was being played on it. But that Haas Lola of Patrick Tambay with its Ford engine is going like clockwork. Most encouraging for the Cosworth people who designed the engine, and for Ford, of course, who contributed all the electronics, not to mention the money and everything else. And Alain Prost, this quite incredible 31-year-old Frenchman with 22 Grand Prix wins behind him already, including the last one at San Marino, is surely on his way to his 23rd win, his third Monte Carlo win in 3 years, and in the process to strengthen his position in the World Championship. Out of the chicane. Now the yellow flag's waving. Why is that? Oh, it's Patrese, of course. Patrese's car with the fire extinguisher powder on the road in front of it. And we are now seeing a motor racing demonstration of the highest order from Alain Prost, who has got this race in his pocket, provided he just keeps going the way he is. He's now on his 55th lap. You can see that with a gap of some 19 seconds there, that Keke Rosberg, as he comes through, is making no impression. Indeed, he's making a negative impression.
Yes, indeed, and I think that the gap actually has opened quite sharply in the last couple of laps, and I think that Rosberg may have settled down to defend his second place, protect his car, and I get the feeling he's given up chasing Prost, and that may be a very wise decision, because he's shown, it's already been proved to himself that he's not going to catch Prost unless something goes wrong, and so chasing won't make any difference to that, and therefore I think you'll find that Rosberg is now protecting his very comfortable lead over Ayrton Senna. He's some 15 seconds ahead of Senna in third place, but he won't want to do more wear than necessary on those rear tyres, and by taking it easy, he looks after them better.
Nevertheless, Ayrton Senna still in third position, demonstrating the Lotus reliability this year. He's had one retirement, admittedly, at San Marino, but he won in Brazil, and he won in Spain and was second in Brazil. And it looks as though he's going to be well and truly in the points for the third position in this race. But now on the 55th lap, as you watch René Arnoux in the Ligier, the little Frenchman who drove for Ferrari in 1984 and won race in 1985 before he was fired. Arnoux now in 5th position, so it's Prost leading by an ever-increasing amount from Keke Rosberg, with Senna some 15 seconds behind Rosberg in third position, with Nigel Mansell 10 seconds behind Senna in fourth place. Arnoux is 15 seconds behind Mansell in fifth position. Jacques Lafitte is in sixth place, and that is René Arnoux in the very distinctive blue and white Ligier. Seventh is Martin Brundle, not so far off the points. Eighth is Nelson Piquet. Ninth is Patrick Tambay. They've each been lapped once. Thierry Boots is 10th and has been lapped twice. Johansson, maintaining his rather poor, unfortunately for him, Ferrari form this year, is in 11th position. And incidentally, Johansson had the misfortune to knock over in the vastly overcrowded pit lane at Monaco here yesterday Jean Sage, the tremendously popular Frenchman, ex-manager of the Renault team, who's looking after their engine supply for the Lotus, Ligier and Tyrrell teams this year. Jean Sage was lying in the pit lane with blood pouring out of his head, but I'm glad to say that he hasn't been seriously injured. He's knocked his shoulder about a bit, but hopefully we're going to be seeing him back in the racing scene at the Belgian Grand Prix and Spa in a couple of weeks' time. René Arnoux, round Lowe's hairpin. Onto the Portier, then second gear. 16 seconds between Mansell, who is in fourth place, and Arnoux, so the gap is being maintained. There's Senna. Senna, now we are going to see the Haas Lola, well, in a moment you will, with Patrick Tambay with the blue helmet in 9th position. So the Ford engine and the new car are getting some racing mileage on them, and that's very important for development purposes. And the Ford is running with a very conservative turbo boost to get that racing mileage, to get the experience, and then you can make it go quicker. It needs a bit more power, they say, and I have no doubt that that will be provided. So Ayrton Senna in third position, closing on Patrick Tambay, who is 9th, to lap him. As you look at the McLaren, coming up to catch Jacques Lafitte. So Alain Prost, the race leader, is about to lap Jacques Lafitte, who is 6th. That's yet another indication of the stunning class of Alain Prost, who I spoke to yesterday. He goes through, takes Jacques Lafitte. So now Prost has lapped everybody up to the 5th place. Great friends, by the way, Alain Prost and Jacques Lafitte, great golfing buddies. I said that Jacques Lafitte liked nothing more than to play a game of golf. Well, for that matter, nor does Alain Prost. Prost not only superb at the wheel, but an incredible businessman who runs his own promotions company. Heaven knows how he finds the time to do it. But amongst other things, he's promoting the Formula 3000 race at Pau next week. Prost into the tunnel. Well, nothing can stop Prost now except reliability or being balked. And we know how reliable the McLaren is. A superb team of mechanics, race engineers, designers, everybody. And of course there is no petrol problem at Monaco because this race is a very short one, 161 miles.
And things have gone pretty static amongst the leaders. Prost seems to have steadied down. He's no longer rushing. He's just holding his gap to teammate Keke Rosberg. And Rosberg is in fact extending his lead over Ayrton Senna, who's in third place. So the three leaders look pretty stable at the moment.
There goes Senna through the chicane. Rosberg has taken La Race-Casse. The gap was some 21 seconds between Rosberg's second and Senna in third place. And here comes Senna. And the gap is actually increasing. It's 23 seconds now. So as the McLaren disappears round the right-hander, goes through the Portier into the tunnel again with Lowe's Hotel overhead. That was where the kitchen flooded a few years ago, and the course beneath it, as a result of which the start had to be delayed. And Alain Prost serenely motoring on. He's already got by far the highest ratio of wins to starts of current drivers. It's something like 24%. And he's going to make it even better at the end of this race if he stays where he is. He completes another lap. That'll be the end of his 59th lap, 78-lap race. The two McLarens lead, the Lotus of Senna third, the Williams of Mansell fourth, the Ligier of Arnoux fifth, the Ligier of Jacques Lafitte in sixth position. Tremendously encouraging for the French team. Both of them have scored World Championship points already, of course, this season. And there's the casino in the background as the leader once again plunges down towards the Mirabeau. And we look again at Patrick Tambay, another tremendously popular Frenchman. That's Martin Brundle, who is in seventh position. And there is Senna. Now, this is going to be interesting because Senna is, some 9 seconds ahead of Mansell, 8 seconds ahead of Mansell, and he's got a big traffic problem now as they come up the hill towards us. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars ahead of Senna and Mansell behind him.
Yes, and I think Senna has, I think his tyres are proving a bit of a struggle for him now. He doesn't seem to be getting the grip, so he may find it difficult to do anything about this group. He's been stuck behind them for quite 3 or 4 laps already.
Senna is now behind Nelson Piquet, who is in 8th position. Piquet has got ahead of him. Patrick Tambay. So Tambay has in fact moved up a place. Now Senna's trying to go through on the inside of the chicane, or was, and Piquet will have none of that. Piquet dodges. This is a great scrap between Nelson Piquet and Patrick Tambay for 8th position, which Tambay has at the moment. And both of them holding up, of course, Ayrton Senna, who is third, and is being caught by Nigel Mansell, who is fourth. I'll give you the gap between Senna and Mansell, and the gap between Senna and Mansell is now down to 6 seconds. So sure enough, Nigel Mansell is making the most of the opportunity. He doesn't actually know he's ahead of him because he can't see that Senna is being held up. But nevertheless, the Englishman in 4th place in the Williams is catching Senna.
Yeah, and I think Senna's rear tyres are getting a bit tired. He seems to be a little bit short on traction out of the slower corners. And that, of course, makes his overtaking situation even more difficult. So now Senna having a look down the inside of Piquet. He's got 2 of them at once. So that will cheer Ayrton Senna up a bit to put 2 cars between himself and Nigel Mansell, who you see now approaching the station hairpin. So Mansell has got Senna just about in sight.
Lap 2, race order. Prost leads, Rosberg second, Senna third, Mansell fourth, Arnoux fifth, Lafitte sixth, Brundle seventh, Tambay eighth, Piquet ninth, Boutsen 10th, Sura 11th, Johansson is 12th, Streff is 13th, and Palmer is 14th. As you look at a replay of Ayrton Senna going through to pass Nelson Piquet and Thierry Boutsen in the arrows. And he's now up with Patrick Tambay. Patrick Tambay, I remind you, is 8th, but has already been lapped once. And what about Nigel Mansell? He's catching them. Now, of course, Mansell's got the problem very shortly that Senna has now disposed of, because the Brazilian passes Patrick Tambay's past Lola Ford, laps the Frenchman again, pulls away, and Mansell has got 3 cars to pass before he can try again to get to grips with Ayrton Senna, and he's going to find it no easier to get past them than the Brazilian did. Senna, 3rd position. Now look back a bit, there's Mansell.
and Senna is definitely short of grip. He's still a bit wide then at the station hairpin, so Senna's going to be really hanging on to try and make those tyres last. And that was the gap, of course, between the two McLarens, who are first and second, with Alain Prost established firmly in control.
Johansson's Ferrari in the pits. The gap between Senna and Mansell was 6 seconds. Here is Senna. There is Mansell in the background. And as Tombe, Piquet, then Palmer and Boutsen go through, all of whom have got to be passed by Mansell. The gap is still 6 seconds between Senna, who is third, and Mansell, who is fourth, with Prost and Rosberg in front of them, Arnoux and Lafitte behind them, fifth and sixth. So there's the Williams past Jonathan Palmer's Zack-Speed. There's the Zack-Speed. All German car, chassis, engine, gearbox, everything. Boutsen goes through with the Williams right on his tail. Down to the station hairpin. Senna. And the gap is coming down. It's about 5 seconds now, notwithstanding the fact that Nigel Mansell has had to pass people. Prost, Rosberg, Senna, Mansell, Arnoux, Lafitte.
Yes, Mansell has definitely got more grip than Senna. He's still got Tombe to get rid of, but I think once he's passed, he'll very quickly be on Senna's tail, and Ayrton Senna definitely struggling for grip. Tyres are very much past their best, and it looks like Nigel Mansell's looked after his a bit better.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing because the two Williams cars are very close to each other. Piquet is the leader of the two cars. It's 6.6 seconds actually. There is Mansell. He's still got to get past his teammate, Piquet, who is now ninth. And the leader, meantime, while we've been looking at this battle, is on his 64th lap, out of 78. Of course, it is still Prost, who is leading his teammate, Keke Rosberg, by 20 seconds. Rosberg is 26 seconds ahead of Senna, who is about 6 seconds ahead of Mansell, who is fourth, who is about 25 seconds ahead of Arnoux, who is fifth, and Jacques Lafitte is sixth. There's the Williams. Six-cylinder Honda engine. They broke 4 of them in practice. Nigel Mansell into the tunnel. They found out what the problem was. It was something to do with fuel injection, as a result of which I suspect the mixture was much too lean and they were breaking engines because of that, but they fixed it for yesterday's practice. And Nigel Mansell went from not qualifying on Thursday to a sensational second on the grid, notwithstanding the fact that he was having to deal with dropped oil from De Cesaris's car. And my goodness, he's smoking now. I mean, smoking to catch Ayrton Senna. He's not in car trouble. He's catching his teammate Piquet fast. It's 5.9 seconds. And I suspect Piquet, when he sees Mansell coming up, knowing that the Englishman is well ahead of him, will move over and let him through. That was Piquet. This is Mansell. Mansell is fourth. Mansell is catching Senna. Senna is not doing anything, of course, about Rosberg and Prost. But Senna will desperately want to keep Mansell behind him because the World Championship position between Prost and Senna is very close. If they stay where they are now, Prost will take the World Championship lead. That is the McLaren of Keke Rosberg. Second place. Now watch as you go round with Rosberg. Let's hope that we're going to look at this developing battle between Senna and Mansell for third and fourth positions. I'm looking across the course as you look at Rosberg going through round Saint-Devote, having completed another lap. Indeed, having completed his 65th lap. Senna goes past me as round the Hotel de Paris, and Mansell is starting to lose grip from his front tyres. He's getting a bit of tyre trouble as well, but he's now, there he is, right up with Nelson Piquet, and the first, second, third, fourth have completed their 65th lap. They being Prost, Rosberg, Senna and Mansell, with Arnoux in 5th position. Jacques Lafitte has been lapped in 6th place. 7th is Martin Brundle, just 1 place off a World Championship point. Patrick Tambay is in 8th position, and there is Senna. Now you can see how they go. There's Senna. And there are the two Williams. Into the tunnel. On lap 66. Prost has completed his 66th lap. Senna comes down to the chicane behind the Ferrari of Stefan Johansson. Pulls out and takes him as they go into the Tabac past Patrese' stationary Brabham. Senna's dealing with the traffic well. Well, Mansell has still got Tambay, there he is, and Piquet ahead of him, but nevertheless, the gap between Ayrton Senna and Nigel Mansell, third and fourth, is down to 4.8 seconds. If Mansell can get past Tambay in front of him now, and then Piquet, I think he's going to fairly rapidly close the gap to Senna, and then we really are going to see a battle royal between Piquet and Mansell, between whom there's been a bit of trouble in the past, of course, in Australia, where Senna, according to Mansell, put him off, and Brazil, where the same thing happened. There's Piquet, there's Tambay, there's Mansell.
Yes, and with the grip from their tyres ever declining, Mansell's got quite a stiff task just to get through this gaggle and get a clear run to attack Senna, because he's definitely getting short on grip. And as soon as he gets close to another car, the wings don't work so well, and unless he's helped, he's going to have a real struggle getting clear.
Now, there is Nigel Mansell closing up on Patrick Tambay. That's Brundle, there's Piquet, there's Tambay, there's Mansell, and still in the superb McLarens. Prost and Rosberg out on their own in front. Prost really on his own. 22 seconds now ahead of his teammate. And Rosberg is some 27 seconds ahead of Senna, who is some 4.5 seconds ahead of Mansell, and there is the Englishman. Now, look back. There's Tambay, and Tambay is 9th. That's Senna, up the hill. Now, Piquet goes through, and Brundle. There's Mansell. Nigel Mansell really has got a monumental task on his hands. He's on lap 68 now in this 78 lap race, but he could still finish in 3rd position. 8.3 seconds between Senna and Mansell, so the gap is extending, and the gap is extending for the reason that you can see now that Nigel Mansell's got the Ferrari and the Lola Ford in front of him. Prost, Rosberg, Senna, Mansell, Arnoux, Lafitte, the first 6. Brundle is 7th, has been lapped. Piquet is 8th, has been lapped. Tambay is 9th and has been lapped. And Piquet has got his Tambay there, and Mansell has got ahead of the Ferrari. So that's 1 less. Now there is Senna. You watch Senna go into La Rascasse as you watch Nigel Mansell still not able to do anything about Patrick Tambay, and the gap is increasing. Senna has got some real racing luck on his side. Nigel Mansell is now 11 seconds behind Ayrton Senna, who is in 3rd position. and Mansell has still got this traffic problem with, I believe, tyres that are going off. Now Mansell's right up with Patrick Tambay. Tambay going off and hitting Brundle. That's Tambay's car over the top of Martin Brundle's Tyrrell, rolling over the Lola Ford, and he did that at the right-hander at Mirabeau, and thank heavens, what an incredible recovery. Patrick Tambay is perfectly okay after a tremendously spectacular crash. Martin Brundle on his way, seemingly and hopefully perfectly okay, and there is the Frenchman Patrick Tambay involved in that coming together with Martin Brundle at the right-hander at the Mirabeau on their lap 68. And praise be Patrick Tambay. Now look at this.
Yes, and we see Tambay going down the inside. Brundle doesn't see him coming, moves over, and that flicks him up in the air, and he does a quick loop-the-loop over. There goes the car, but no damage to Tambay there. You see that his head was well away from the ground and was protected by the rollover bar, so really there shouldn't have been any damage to that.
There's Nigel Mansell going through the gap, and I'm just trying to spot whether Martin Brundle's okay. We'll keep a look at our lap chart to see if Martin Brundle goes through. But now, with Martin Brundle yet to go past us, and I'm pretty confident that Martin would have been okay from the way he eased into the wall. But you look at the race leader, Alain Prost, completing his 70th lap, with Keke Rosberg in second place still, with Ayrton Senna in third position. And now I will be able to give you the gap again. There's Brundle. So Brundle is perfectly okay. He's driving back to the pits, thank heavens for that. Now, what about this battle as Brundle passes me and you see him? I look down at his car. I tell you that he's perfectly okay. He's going to come into the pits. His race is not going to be completed in the new 0150. And now, Nigel Mansell, of course, will have lost time through that accident, but should have a clearer circuit in front of him. He's going to come through and complete his 70th lap. And Martin Brundle stops in the pit lane.
No, he didn't quite make it. He's got a flat right rear tyre. That would be the result, obviously, of the accident. So he didn't quite make it back to the pits, and it looks like end of the day's work for Martin.
Yes, and I think that Nigel Mansell's going to have a very considerable job to catch Ayrton Senna. Indeed, I don't think he can do it, because he's now 22 seconds behind, held up by the traffic, held up by the accident between Patrick Tambay and Martin Brundle, both of whom seem to be perfectly okay after that tremendously spectacular roll. There's Martin Brundle's car being eased back as Rosberg goes through to complete his 71st lap. Now only 6 laps, including the one he's on, away from his third successive victory at the Monaco Grand Prix. A quite incredible performance. He dominated practice, while Martin Brundle's car has obviously seized up somehow, perhaps the brakes or gearbox. Brundle running across the road, so he's okay. Rosberg going through in second place, and Nigel Mansell still has to get past Nelson Piquet, his teammates, who of course has been lapped. But it looks as though the first 4 anyway, first 6 for that matter, are set with the winner, potential winner. There he is, appropriately number 1, world champion Alain Prost, with just a few laps between him and the checkered flag.
Yes, they've all spread right out now. None of the leading 6 are really anywhere near each other, and it's a matter of driving to finish for each and every one of them. Mansell's spirited chase of Ayrton Senna really ended with all that traffic in front of him, and then the shunt between Tambay and Brundle, which delayed him further, and he's now really out of range of any chance of catching Senna unless Senna has some trouble. So Alain Prost has driven another copybook race. It's been absolutely as he would have liked it. He eased away at the beginning of the race, didn't rush it too much, but just enough not to wear his tires out. He looked, when he got onto the new tires, he really flew for a little while, established himself very much at the top. Rosberg chased for all he was worth and could not find any answer towards getting closer to Prost. In fact, he was losing ground, and that really was it. So the little Frenchman, current world champion, doing what very often happens to people when they win that championship for the first time, that a new and greater confidence comes over their driving, and Prost is certainly at the top of his form at the moment.
Ayrton Senna going through. He's now on his 73rd lap, like Rosberg and Prost in front of him, and consolidating his third position, because the gap between Senna and Mansell is actually increasing as the Brazilian rounds the Massenet into and out of Casino Square. 26 seconds is the gap now between Senna in third place in the Lotus and Mansell in fourth position in the Williams. Followed in fifth place by René Arnoux, in sixth place by Jacques Lafitte, in seventh place by Nelson Piquet. Eighth is Boots and ninth is Sura. 10th is Johansson, 11th is Strath. 12th is Martin Brundle, of course, out of the race. And Alain Prost now is on his 74th lap. And actually, I forecast that this would be a race of attrition, as it always is at Monaco, but it looks as though we're going to have more finishers than usual, because Jonathan Palmer in 12th place is still running, albeit 4 laps behind the leader, and there is the leader. Alain Prost coming down behind one of the arrows at Lowe's hairpin, and he is now 24 seconds ahead of his teammate, McLaren driver Keke Rosberg, world champion of 1985, leads the world champion of 1982, Keke Rosberg. A potential world champion, of course, Ayrton Senna, and very much so, in third position. He's going to finish, provided he stays where he is now, in the points again, and Alain Prost very sensibly deciding to stay where he is and not try any heroics, and to pass the arrows of Thierry Boutsen as he approaches the swimming pool. He's got all the time in the world. They go down to La Rascasse together as Keke Rosberg exits the chicane, and that is about a quarter of a lap here at Monaco, the 2.07 mile lap between the first and second cars. Prost, Rosberg, Senna, Mansell fourth, Arnoux fifth, Lafitte sixth, and Arnoux is being caught by Keke Rosberg. You can see it happening now. There is the Ligier and there is the McLaren, and Arnoux is in fifth place and is about to be lapped again by the second place man, Keke Rosberg. There he is, rounding Saint-Devant, up the hill towards us, the Frenchman in the Ligier, the Finn in the McLaren, and of course René Arnoux, who is in fifth place in the Ligier, has already been lapped by the leader Alain Prost, who indeed has lapped everybody up to Nigel Mansell, who is fourth. Arnoux, and there is Prost. He's past Boutsen, you see, out of our sight. Prost coming through now to complete his 75th lap. 3 to go at the end of this between him and another famous victory. It would seem that nothing can stop this incredible Frenchman these days, the class of the field. And although the McLaren team had a comparatively shaky start by their standards, with neither Prost nor Rosberg finishing in Brazil, they made amends for that with third and fourth places for Prost and Rosberg in Spain. And then they both finished in the points at San Marino, with Prost winning and Rosberg in fifth place. And now it looks as though at this, the fourth race of the 16-race World Championship Series of 1986, the McLarens are going to again stamp their dominance on the field, as they did in winning the Constructors' Championship in 1985 and 1984 by finishing first and second here at Monaco. Prost into the tunnel on his 76th lap. Leading Keke Rosberg by 22 seconds. Rosberg 19 seconds ahead of Senna, third, who is 29 seconds now ahead of Mansell, fourth. So Senna really pulling away. Prost coming up to Streff, the Frenchman, having his first drive in the new 015 Renault-powered Tyrrell. Just round La Rascasse now goes Streff. The next one you'll see will be Prost, and that is the end of his 76th lap. Alain Prost, the world champion of 1985, is on his last lap but one. Just 4 miles to go now for the Frenchman. Winner here in 1985, winner in those appalling weather conditions in 1984, when he just by about a car length beat Ayrton Senna, who was then in the Tolman, and in the process scored half world championship points because the race was stopped short of the full distance. Prost goes through and takes Streff in the Tyrrell. He's got a clear circuit now. He really can, by his standards, coast home. He's got about 3 miles to go now as he goes into the tunnel, and that is at about 160 miles an hour, accelerating to 170 as he comes out of it. Down through the gears from 6th to 1st for the chicane, the new chicane, which I think everybody would say has been a great success. The drivers like it. Alain Prost is coming out of La Rascasse to finish his 77th lap, to start his 78th lap. There is only 2 miles now between Prost and victory after a quite magnificent, absolutely typical drive.
Yes, Alain Prost has really made it all look ridiculously easy. He's in top form. His outstanding drive at Imola has gripped him with confidence, and he made it look a lot easier than it really is, in going steadily away from the field throughout the race, getting onto his new tires, looking after his first set properly, and then taking a spirited challenge from Keke Rosberg, which he dealt with the greatest of ease by still extending his gap, and that took the fight out of everybody, the last fighter being Rosberg. Rosberg's driven very well into second place, and that will help his confidence. And Ayrton Senna, of course, has driven another good race into third place, but was just really a little bit off the pace.
Out of the chicane for the 78th and last time, Alain Prost is going to make it 3 in a row. An amazing performance. Fastest in practice, pole position at the start, fastest this morning in the final half hour of practice on full tanks. Winner in 85, winner in 84, rounds La Rascasse for the last time. Watch the McLaren mechanics as he rounds the last corner, and they go berserk with pleasure, and Alain Prost has won the 1986 Monaco Grand Prix in a canter. Rosberg will be second, Ayrton Senna third, Nigel Mansell in fourth position, René Arnoux in fifth place, and Jacques Lafitte sixth. And that means to say that Alain Prost, as you watch Rosberg finishing in second position, takes the lead in the World Championship from Ayrton Senna, who is now second. Nelson Piquet in third position. Keke Rosberg goes up to fourth place in the championship. Here is Senna finishing in third position. Fifth in the championship, Nigel Mansell, and sixth, Gerhard Berger. In the Constructors' Championship, McLaren take the lead from Williams, with Lotus third, with Ligier fourth, with Benetton fifth, with Ferrari sixth, and as Senna finishes in third place, it is very clear that McLaren and Prost are once again the combination to beat.
James Hunt and Murray Walker, your commentators there in Monaco. A field day indeed for McLaren, and the next race is in Belgium in 2 weeks' time, and you'll see that on Sunday Grandstand.